Hello, everyone. This is the Crimson Cure, welcoming you to the Crimson Tower, a place where we keep a feminine foot on the neck of the gynocracy, feminism, and black male misandry. So go ahead, pull up a chair, stay a while, and listen.
For over 2 decades, we focused on one philosophy, the 10 Life Values, a system that helps us examine our lives, our vision, our leadership. Our products and our services are exclusively for men, all men. The ones who teach and mentor our kids, maintain our livestock and grow our food, make and repair our products, saves us from catastrophe, and protect our nation. The 10 Life Values are woven into every product and service we create. Because at the end of the day, our vision is to see all men from every community equipped with the appropriate processes and the necessary tools to be excellent fathers and the best version of themselves they can be.
Hey! How's my Crimsonites doing today? Who we got in here? Well, first of all, thank you for the super chats. So we got Eric Deadman putting money in the collection plate for the well overdue Oprah roast. I saw her commercial about saluting black men and couldn't stop laughing at the irony and the hypocrisy. Exactly. We got Dion. Thank you, Eric. We got Father's Time. We got Audrey Ford. We got Barry Little. Thank you. Said facts, Kendra, when sisters got seduced by feminism, it was pretty much a wrap for the community. My apologies, and I have water for just that occasion. Hey, Malika said peace to the family, aka the Keto Queen. Hey, Girl Anonymous. Hey, C. Hey, J. Epps. Thank you, Malika. We got Bishop, we got Prodigy, we got Mogul, we got Dion, we got My Love is Divine. How you doing, sis? We got Miss Panda Berry. Salams, Panda. We got Ruminant. We got Angel. Hey, Kizzies. Let's see. Cartier. George. Who else we got? Hey, we got Dr. Michelle. We got Ultraviolet. KD. We got kind of a full house. Hey, Sandra. Oh, thank you, Dr. Michelle. Y'all was really waiting on somebody to roast okra, huh? Well, she called down the thunder with that tweet. When I saw that tweet, I was like, oh, she not getting away with that one. Hey, Petway boy, I'm jealous to Renzo. You floating in a pool. I'm like extra jealous because I love the pool. I'm scared to swim in like open water though. Like I'm scared of the lake and like I'm scared. Cause Lake Michigan not no joke. You can go in there not being a strong swimmer if you want to. You won't make it out. You know I got my notes. Y'all know what it is when I got my notes. Guess what else I got? 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 I got a chart. I got a chart. I got a chart. I got a chart. I'm bust it out. I'm bust it out later on. Hey, Miss Kalila. Y'all be knowing I got the charts now, don't y'all? Y'all love y'all some charts. Thank you, Amari. I'm gonna give y'all a sneak peek. Y'all gonna get a sneak peek at a chart. Bam! 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 That was y'all sneak peek. Y'all like my little bam, bam, bam. Okay. So what we's gonna talk about today, y'all? Hey, Talib. What we's talk about today? We's gonna talk about when black women got woke. When we got woke. Now, you know, back in the 90s, 80s and the 90s, I remember when being woke was something that you wanted to be. Being woke meant you were being conscious. It meant that you understood who you were. It meant that you understood where you were, your overall circumstances and condition. You were conscious when you were woke. And I must say, I feel some type of way about taking that word and making it mean being a feminist, being a gynocrat, being a SJW. I don't like, that's the first thing. I don't like, don't be taking our words from the 90s when we was dope and we was trying to be conscious and we was like, yeah, I'm woke. That was a good thing. Not being woke is like, huh? Y'all woke. I roll my eyes when I see it now. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. Y'all being woke. Whatever. Because that mean you're a gynocrat. In 2021, being woke mean you're a gynocrat. It is what it is. Not being woke mean you a hyena, you hate black men, you hate certain sectors of black women. And I cooked Oprah for 30 minutes. But I actually could have cooked her longer than that. Hey, Annie. I actually could have cooked her longer than that because she was such a catalyst for this woke mess. I don't know. See, those of us who are Gen Xers, we grew up watching her. So we understood the scope of her influence. Oprah's influence in media and pop culture was not a joke at all. She wasn't just another celebrity. She wasn't just another talk show host. Oprah was the influence from the mid-80s throughout the 90s. The 90s is when Gen X girls and boys was growing up. In 92, I was just graduating 8th grade. In 96, I was just graduating high school. That's 13 years old and 18 years old. I remember those shows. It was every morning, I believe, at 9 o'clock. She would come on. She superseded the Phil Donahue show. See, only the old heads remember the Donahue show. Give me one second. Okay, we back. See, only the old heads remember the Donahue show. The Donahue show had little topics and, you know, it was more journalistic. Oprah's show started out that way as well. She was competing with Donahue because Donahue had the #1 spot. And when Oprah's show first came out, she was competing with the Donahue show. And she quickly overshadowed Donahue. Thank you, Young Juju. Appreciate it. And Oprah began her show in that fashion, in that Donahue fashion. We're gonna sit with different people. We're gonna talk about, you know, issues of the day. We're gonna talk about mental health. We're gonna talk about tragedy. We're gonna talk about the everyday things. We're gonna talk about those things, issues that capture people's attention. You really wanted to watch the next show. And then she became sensational, but not in the way that Jerry Springer became sensational. Because remember, Jerry Springer started out as a real talk show as well. But we ain't gonna get into him. She didn't turn sensational in that same fashion. What she did was she began to start pushing that feminism, that wokeness. And that feminism played into white women because those are the first feminists. She began touching issues of white women, disguising it as these are the issues that all women are going through. And then she went from there to begin to put in so-called black issues. But when she brought up black issues, it was done in almost like a, hey, psst, white people, I'm gonna pull the curtain back so y'all can see what really be going on in the black community. Cause y'all don't know, but you know, just keep it quiet, just be quiet and just watch, cause I'm gonna show you what black people is all about. It was done like that. Like white people was getting a sneak peek into the lives of black people. But when she pulled that curtain aside, that we saw were these black women who were being victimized, terrorized, abandoned by black men. When she pulled that curtain back, all that was conveyed to the masses, all women, was that not only did black women not need black men, but they should be wary of them, that they should fear them. That black men were abusive. They were predatorial. And that black women were surviving black men. Black women were making strides in spite of two things that were wrong with the black man, according to the narrative that Oprah repackaged. Two things was wrong with him. He was predatorial and abusive. And number two, he was incompetent. So if there was a black man that wasn't predatorial, he may have been harmless, but he was also incompetent. And so black women, if she didn't need to be afraid of him, she needed to overstep him because he was weak-minded, didn't have any stability, was unaware of his surroundings, and so therefore she needed to make strides, because if she depended on him, the community was in trouble. Thank you, Chief Rocker. Thank you for the cash apps, everybody. DC, Mogul Maze, RB. Thank you so much. So it always showed black women in a state of having to put the so-called community on her back because her man was either a sexual deviant, a predator, an abuser, or he just didn't know nothing. Now, this is a trope about, just to show you how devastating it is, this is a trope that was introduced when? When was the sexual predator, dim-witted brute of a black man, when was that narrative put into pop culture? Y'all should remember, when was that introduced? Do y'all remember? Birth of a Nation, the original one. The original Birth of a Nation. A Klan movie. A movie by the Klan. Portrayed black men in that exact same light. He was a sexual predator. He was dim-witted. He was a brute. He was an abuser. He had no ethics. He had no morals. and he didn't pay attention or to anything that was declared legal or illegal. He simply ran around like a wild animal and brutalized women. He stole. He committed all manner of crime and atrocities because he was a dumb brute animal. And feminism and Oprah was a huge catalyst, a huge purveyor of that exact same thought pattern from the Klan. This is a white survivalist narrative about black men to disparage not only their image or their appearance value, but to disparage the very thought of the black man's biology. He was assumed to be inherently this way. There was no environmental or cultural external force that produced this. This was just simply how the black man was from birth, from creation. Through media outlets such as Oprah Winfrey's show, which had international reach. It was nationally syndicated, but it had international reach. If you take a look at Oprah herself, she was never in a situation where there was a man ahead of her. Stedman has always been just some guy in the background that she was probably paying to be her blouse. He's her blouse. Y'all know what a blouse is, right? He's her blouse. To throw people off. Because see, back in the 80s, feminism and all, a black woman would not have been as widely accepted if she had to come out and say she was part of the alphabet community. Not gonna accept her. So whether it's true or not, she has to portray that she is straight. But the way she lived her life in the media, she was a black woman that pulled it out of the mud, and there was nary a man in sight, and she was abused when she was younger by a man. And so there we have her whole narrative. She can't stand black men because she was at one time abused. So no wonder she could take a narrative that was introduced by Klansmen that says black men are inherently predatorial, abusers, dim-witted, incompetent, no morals, no ethics, no sense of right and wrong, legal or illegal. Every single time that black men were brought up, it was in a negative light. It was always something wrong with him. Always. Thank you, Chief Rocker, again. Say KD, wow, I never view Oprah in that light. Interesting perspective. See, I don't know how old you are, Chief Rocker. If you kind of young, you might not have seen all of this. Thank you, Angela C. Every time black men were presented, they were presented in such a negative light that you could not, on the minds of young impressionable girls that were watching Oprah show with their mother, girls in the 90s that was my age, 12, 13, 14, 15. This is where we got information about black men. See, because everybody supported Oprah when she first started, because it's like, okay, this is a sister, you know what I'm saying, pulling it out the mud. She the only black person really that in that talk show circuit, and she pulled off in front of everybody. She kind of blew everybody out of the water, and everybody, including black men, were supporting her until she started throwing them under the bus. The biggest under the bus outside of the topics that she chose to cover of black men, which was always something negative that they had done or perceived to have had done. They was always abandoning their kids. They was always cheating on their women. They was always part of the alphabet community. They was always some type of criminal. They was always either that or he was weak, or some type of simp, or some type of happy-go-lucky, get along, I'm not offensive, I don't really have a whole lot of masculinity type of black men. Those were the only black men that were acceptable. Right? So this is where we got our information about black men when we were young like that, watching that show. Oh, well, black men ain't nothing, right? I shouldn't want one of those. Because like I said before, not only was she saying that you don't need black men, you should be leery of them, you should fear them. And the ones that aren't predatorial, you got to carry him on your back because he's incompetent. Chief Rocker said, I'm 48. Saw her in the early 80s as the next Phil Donahue after I left in 91 to join the military. I didn't follow her that much. Yeah. Okay. I got you. Thank you, Ro, for the cash out. So we had her purveying these concepts. And see, the mind of a young child or teenager, we're going to absorb the subtext, not just what's overtly said. We're going to grab the subtext in our subconscious. So she's reinforcing and planting seeds about how we as black women need to move. Because black men, according to her, could never be counted on. Not for a single thing. Not for anything. Especially not for any of these. Not only could you not count on black men to give you either of these four, but in point of fact, black women were put in place to say that she had to provide these things. She had to provide the 4 P's. Black women had to make sure of provision. She had to go and be the breadwinner. If we take a look at it, provision says he produces masculine light, giving him the ability to look ahead and or prepare in advance. He generates stability in the form of ideas, supplies, food, finances, clothing, housing, etc. Women need men, men don't need women in this instance for provision. But that woke stuff got women thinking we're the ones that need to provide masculine light. We're the ones that need to look ahead and prepare in advance. Had us thinking that we need to do problem solving. Problem solving says his ability to think in a linear and analytical fashion to be able to dissect and resolve issues efficiently. His problem solving saves time, minimizes wastes of energy, money, etc. He necessitates order out of confusion and chaos and brings a sense of peace. Got women thinking this is what they should be doing. Got women thinking they should be the ones providing protection. Includes shielding from harm by confronting danger, but also in the form of the very structure he creates or provides that covers in his physical absence or in a hostile environment. This includes rules and guidelines he sets. And the only thing that we were led to believe that black men were ever good for was procreation. Physical intimacy ranging from affectionate touches and words to sexual intercourse. Any and all expressions of love, care, and support. The creation and raising of his children, his legacy with his values and the culture of his household. We got transferred into say women supposed to do that. And that our black men are too incompetent. All of them. 50% are predatorial and we gotta be scared of them. And the other 50% is stupid. They failures anyway. Nothing you can do. Because he's born that way. He's born incompetent. This is why we prepare for his failures. Not his successes. We don't even put anything in our boys to make sure he succeed as a man because we're sure he's not. Because we're sure he's either going to be predatorial or stupid. I'm talking about the son you had for 9 months in your stomach and birthed out. You think he's one of two. He's either going to be some type of predator or criminal or he's stupid. Thank you, Cartier. Say black men been seen her colors. Black women drunk the Kool-Aid. She never even had a black woman on the cover of beside her. Brianna was smoking mirrors. Thank you, Ruminant. Says she did a number on the minds of black boys is where we had exposed to this stuff when we came from outside. Their mama reinforced what she was saying. Never heard of the DL until it was Satan's show. Exactly. That whole deep down low thing came about. That wasn't even nothing that we discussed in the hood at all until Oprah brought it out and basically said the majority of black men that's married and having kids, these are the ones that's actually in the house with you, being a man with his kids, with you, married to you. He can't be trusted either because the reality is he part of the alphabet community and he gonna give you HIV and AIDS. So according to the Oprah show, the small percentage of black men that was neither predators nor too stupid, and he was actually married to you, in the house with you and your kids, he was a part of the alphabet community and you just didn't know it. So what it boils down to, was that according to Oprah and wokeness and feminism, there was not a single subgroup of black men that was doing anything they were supposed to be doing. Nothing. Not a single one of them. Even the one you thought you had that was good was a POS. Even the one you had that was at home with you, providing for you, providing for your kids, had a roof over your head, you wasn't struggling. You wasn't living from pillar to post. You ought to have been leery of him too, because for as good as he's treating you, them few minutes where you don't know where he at, or them hour or two you don't know where he at, he's somewhere getting dug out by another dude. And that's what you ought to be worried about. So she basically told black women that there was not a single black man in America, not one, that was worth anything. Had a whole generation of girls believing that. Believed it. Believed it. So what did we start doing? What did our mothers start doing with us? Preparing us to live our lives without men. You don't need no man. You got to do it yourself anyway. These men out here ain't nothing. They ain't, you know what I'm saying? They ain't doing nothing. They ain't about nothing. They too stupid. Or they too predatorial. So you got to prepare to live your life without a man. And the only thing that he's good for, like the white man say, is he's a buck. He's a mandingo. The only thing he good for is breaking your back in that bed. He ain't good for nothing else. Even the one you raised in your house ain't good for nothing else. To the extent, this went to the extent that black women as a whole do not see black men as part of the community. They are not the community. The only part of the community that exists is black women and girl children. Boys and men are not the community. They are not. Tell me I'm lying. You ask the average black woman if black boys and black men are part of the community. No. What proved that is that tweet that went viral from Terrain Walker that said, how can you be pro-black and hate black men? And there were thousands of black women that said, I can be pro-black and I do hate black men. I'm pro-black and I hate black men. They said it without compunction. There was no hesitation for that. Which means that if they had sons, they hated them. Because black men were black boys at one point. All of them. When black women today don't have no compunction with saying, I hate black men. Yeah, I hate them. But beg them for protection, provision, problem solving, and they can't go nowhere else but to black men to get procreation, because don't nobody want to fool with no black woman to get her pregnant. Thank you, Fit Feminine. Said it's ironic you are talking about okra and calling her out her BS. She had the audacity to come out with a 2-hour special yesterday honoring our king, celebrating black fatherhood. That's why I cooked her this morning. That's precisely why I cooked her. How dare she talk about black fatherhood? How dare she? How dare she talk about black fatherhood in anything? Stay where you been. You've been hating black men, so stay there. That's all I'm talking about. Stay where you been. Do what you've been doing. You've been hating black men, so continue to do so. Black women nowadays can't stand black men or boys. And I dare anybody to contradict it. The proof is in the pudding. Black Baroness just said, I don't think many black women are dependent on black men for provision. They only earn $42,000 a year on average, which I don't see why that's so bad. Also, why black women are the most educated demographic. Yet your sons can't read at grade level. You got a degree and won't even teach your son how to read. You hate black boys. Your average feminist hate black boys. You hate them. You don't care if he can read. You don't care how he live. You don't care how he's supposed to get his manhood. You don't care how he's supposed to figure his life out. You don't care what he's supposed to do after a certain age. You want him out your house at about 15, 16. He become that ninja. No, not even your son no more. You act like you don't know who he is. You educated, but he not. How that happen? How can you have children in your house that you birthed and you don't care what they do? Just because he happened to have XY chromosomes, you hate him. Because your girls ain't suffering like that. You make your girl suffer a different way. But she ain't suffering because she can't read. You make sure she can do that. Because you're not looking for the girl to fail. You're looking for the boy to fail. Because you birthed him out. And when you saw he was a boy, you said, oh, he ain't going to be nothing. How does one's gender of a race fail so miserably? Because a mother don't care about him. Because the mama don't care. Care about the girls, don't care about the boys. Oprah pushed that as well. She made sure that white people could come up off of her name. She made sure. She made sure we knew who Dr. Phil was and who Dr. Oz was. And Susie O. and Joel Osteen. She made sure we knew who they were. She made sure we knew who Terry McMillan was, and all these other black women. She made sure that we knew who Gayle King was. Her best friend could come up. She made sure of that. She made it her business to make sure that white people and black men could come up off of her name, could use her name and her notoriety and her platform freely. She felt it was her responsibility as a mammy to make sure Zaddy had somewhere to go and make sure black women had somewhere to go. But we hate black men, so they can't use her name. For all the reach and the influence that she had, she only helped one side of the race, the girls. Like all black women that get to a point of notoriety, very few have gotten to Oprah's status. But when they do come up, they don't bring the boys, they bring the girls. Black women took a page out of Oprah's book and became involved in production and writing for media, television shows, and movies. And every time black men are portrayed in any of these movies, they are either alphabet community, they weak-minded, stupid, and they simps, or they predatorial. Meanwhile, women can do no wrong. I just read a story today where a woman in Brooklyn took her newborn and her toddler and threw them out of the window to the ground below. She jumped out after them. The toddler wasn't dead and neither was the newborn, but she took the newborn and started bashing the newborn's head on the concrete. Do you know what the reaction of the black women around her was to her? Guess. Guess what the reaction of black women was to that scene? Sympathy. Here she had, they witnessed her throw them babies out of the window. Now in that movie for Color Girls, when that man, that fictitious man, threw them kids out the window, he was a villain, was he not? But when she did it, when a black woman did it in reality, not a movie, not a set, when she did it in reality, witnessed her take that newborn's head and bash it on the concrete. They said, I hope don't nothing happen to her. Don't nobody need to judge her for this, because you don't know her story. Thank you, King. 2878, thank you. We don't need to judge her for taking a newborn, throwing it out of the window to the concrete, taking your toddler, throwing your toddler out the window, and then you jump behind them, and because it wasn't dead, you was trying to kill it on the ground. Baby is in critical condition. Toddler is stable. She's stable. And the black women in her neighborhood, in her building, said they felt sorry for her and sympathy for her because no one knows her story. So black women are allowed to murder or attempt to murder their own children and be forgiven by other black women. Had that been a black man, there would have been no end to the outrage. How could he do this? What kind of monster is this? Who would throw their kids out of the way? I just don't understand. Who could do that if you love your kids? This is what we dealing with because black women are woke. Because we focus on the distractions of feminism now. Everything is a cause. Everything is a movement except the things that we ought to be paying attention to as women. Since we so educated, why your son can't read? You got a whole degree and your son is in 6th grade and is reading at a 3rd grade level. Why? Why? We'll jump out the window, no pun intended, for transformer women and say that they are women, but you're supposed to be a woman. The only black men that the gynocracy likes are alphabet black men because they don't have proper masculinity. They are pseudo versions of the women. So they ain't got an answer to them. In the gynocracy, you can abuse your kids as a black woman, but you can't leave them as a black man. I have both been the victim of and witnessed black mothers literally physically abuse their children. Abuse. Nobody bats an eyelash. if you're the child and you say, I'm hurt by what my mama has done, the resounding thing that's going to be said to you is, shut up, that's your mama. She doing the best she can. Just shut up. It's cute for black women to make their sons into son husbands and they make their daughters into housewives. Just watch the clip. Y'all know about that show called Smothered, where the mother and the daughter are enmeshed. It's enmeshment. And they do everything together, sex tapes, this, that, and the third. But it's okay for black women to do that. And this was a black woman and her daughter sitting on the couch feeding each other in a romantic setting. Talking about they watches each other's sex tapes. You can't tell me they not having sex with each other, because I ain't never sat in between my mama legs like that as a grown woman. Ever. Ever. You think I want my mama somewhere watching me get my back broke? Excuse me? And everybody thought it was cute. Ha 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 ha. It's funny. Had that been a man and his daughter, he would have been a demon. Thank you, Ultraviolet. So I just saw an overweight BW with her overweight 5-year-old son embarrassing him at the park yesterday. She threw away his toys and told him to pick them out of the trash. I was highly disgusted. Yeah, I've seen them do it. The stuff they say and do to their sons is disgusting. And then address it up talking about, I'm trying to make him a man. No, you're not. You're breaking him down from the inside out. You breaking him. He gonna be a broken little boy and he gonna grow up to be a broken man. And he gonna break some people on the way. It's okay for black women to be woke and destroy the community to such an extent that we don't even have a community anymore. Shout out to the Book of Ronan, they ethnic outposts now. All the while humming along, skipping, talking about how much she hates black men and thusly hates her sons. As if they were a totally different species of human being. But then want black men to come back and save them. Why you dating interracially? Why you with that white woman? Because you hate me. That's why. I know you hate me. Why would I come over there? And the only reason that she want anything from a black man is because Zaddy don't want you. He don't like you. You can do every part of his bidding and he don't like you. White men are not rushing to come get black women. As thirsty as everybody know black women are for white men, they rather be incels than come get you. They would rather be incels sitting in their mama's attic covered in Cheeto dust than to come get you. And when he do come through to get you, he know he ain't got to be half of what a black man is. He ain't got to be half. All he got to be is white. Because black women think it's going to give them some type of status that a black man can't give. I don't see no white men checking for black women in droves. They mostly going for Asian women when they not going for white women. This is a spiritual war. For many, many years, Oprah led that spiritual war against her own community. Setting black women up against a man that has never oppressed her. Black men do not have a history of oppression of black women. White men got that history with they women, which is why they women got mad and started doing feminism and jumped on that train when it was introduced, because she got mad at him because he was always stepping on her neck. But mad at him or not, she never left his side. When it's time to square up, she stand right over there next to him. When it's time for her to look to leadership, she go right over there to him. When it's time for her to get protected, she go right over there to him. When it's time for her sons, single mother or not, to learn his masculinity and learn his place as a white man in this world, she go right over there to him. And she can Me Too him and fleece him in divorce court all she want to. But when it come time to do what she got to do, she go right over there to that man. Thank you, Coach Ali's Corner. It's another Fish Grease production. Thank you so much. So just showing some love. Keep on cooking. Thank you, Father Time. White women voted for Trump. They got him in office. White women got him in office and then had a women's march that same day. But they put him in office though. Black women voted for Biden, who wrote the 94 crime bill that decimated the black community and put most of our men in jail for petty, non-violent crimes. Voted him right in. When asked about why would you vote in a man whose legislation was a direct impact on the decimation of the black community by criminalizing the crack epidemic that they started in the black community in the first place, black women said, we don't care about that. So that was black men. We don't care about that. They the ones went to jail. That's why you grew up without a daddy. Because we got brothers serving life on 3 strikes you're out and ain't never killed nobody. All he had was a little piece of drugs. And he was the addict, not the seller. He just ended up getting caught with it a 3rd time and they sent him for life. He's serving right now. Black women becoming woke has done nothing but ruin our so-called community. And you woke, I'm going to tell you this, you want to be pro-black, you woke because you are a white supremacist. And you like white survivalism. You like their culture, you like the biology, you like the environment, and you like the value system. Little do you know, you're about to go down the toilet too. Because you think Zaddy's gonna save you and he's gonna kick you. He gonna watch you hanging over the cliff by just your fingertips, and he gonna come over there and stomp on them and grind them with his boot heel until you fall. You think he love you and he don't. He don't love nobody. He just trying to survive and stay on top. He don't care what he got to do. His value system is amoral. He don't care what he got to do. He don't care who he got to do it to. You want black men to lead you out of the wilderness, but you hate them. And you've raised them in that hatred. You've effectively cut your nose off to spite your face. And still too stupid to understand it. That when it's all said and done, you gonna be left in that same wilderness with that same man and them same boys that you can't stand that look like you. Because there is no civilization that has lasted always. Civilizations always fall. And human beings have to start over. Have to do Bioculturon all over again to transform the civilization and bring it back to ground zero so they can build on it again. This is a continuous cycle of the human being. This is a continuous cycle of the human being. This is the human condition. Black women so educated, but they ain't figured that part out. You think the construct as it is now is something that will always be. When idiot, it wasn't always was. There was a point in time where this construct didn't exist. And there'll be a point in time when it doesn't exist again. It's called cycles. It's called life. You so smart. Figure out how to get out of these evictions when these moratoriums come up and these courts catch up with the cases. You so capable, and black men have been incapable that you have led all of us down into the pit of hell, black women, because you're incompetent. You have zero handle on the internal 5 of the 10 life values. You are spiritually bankrupt. You're spiritually bankrupt. There's a reason why they call it bankruptcy. Because the spiritual value and the wealth value are sitting right next to each other. When you look at that wheel, it's number 1 and number 10 right there. When you don't have any money, you file a bankruptcy. When you don't have any morals, you're spiritually bankrupt. So you spiritually bankrupt. When you can look at the sons that you have birthed out into this world and think of him as nothing, as a piece of trash, that is spiritual bankruptcy. When you can look at your daughter and say, I'm going to set her up to fail in her life and disguise it as a win for her, that's spiritual bankruptcy, because you know she gonna end up where you are and you're unhappy. Your health is in the toilet. Your mental health goes unchecked. That woman that threw her kids out of that window, how many warning signs of her own did she have in her own mind and say, I'm getting to a breaking point. I'm getting to a point here. I might need to do something before I get to a point of no return. You know what she could have done? She could have gave them kids away. In the United States of America, in any town, USA, a woman, without being held to account or questioned, can bring her children to a fire station, a police station, or by goodness gracious, she could have gave them to their daddy if he was around. If she know, I'm getting to the point where I might actually do something to these kids, and I don't want to do that. I might do something to myself, and I don't want to do that. Let me give these kids a chance. Even if I don't have no chance, even if I take my life, I'm not going to take theirs. But no, she let whatever was going on with her mentally go run out of check. It just ran right out. And she attempted to kill herself and those kids. You don't do nothing with your physical health. You falling up behind Lizzo, and this woman is every other week she crying about how miserable she is on the inside. Your family, you work to keep single mother-led households in effect as the leading household type and so-called family structure in the black so-called community. Newsflash, single motherhood is not a family structure. It's a construct of ethnic outposts is what that is, not a family. Because you don't have any balance, and neither do the children. You make sure that your appearance is one of the worst appearances of any demographic of women by fighting to be able to come outside without judgment in house shoes, pajamas, unwashed, unclean, with bonnets on. You will argue another black woman down for simply saying, out of a place of love, hey sisters, let's do a little bit better for ourselves. Tried to drag that woman through social media. Your dwelling is horrific. You don't make that place a place of peace. You don't make a house into a home. You make it into a prison. You don't mind your sons going through the school to prison pipeline because that's where you think he belong anyway. Tell the truth and shame the devil. You like it when the police come shoot him. And I know you like it for several reasons. You can get a bag off of it by suing the city. Or you can be Patrice Cullors from Black Lives Matter, get you a couple of milli and hit the road. You like watching him get shot in the street because whenever you mad at him, you call the Romans on him to come get him and shoot him in the street. And then I have the unmitigated gall to stand somewhere and act like you crying about him getting shot, when you the one called the dogs on him anyway to come shoot him in the first place. You wanted him shot. You all but begged them to come get him and shoot him and kill him. Knowing that it could be a death sentence, you don't have no compunction about calling the police on a black man for any reason. He don't got to be assaulting you. He don't got to be hitting you. He ain't got to be doing nothing to you that necessitates that you got to get the police on him and get him off of you or get something straight. You can just be having a argument with him and want him out your face. And that to you is worth him getting killed possibly. And I'm not talking about just some dude you met. I'm talking about your 15-year-old son that you birthed into this world. You don't care if the police come get him and shoot him. You want him to do that. Thank you, Shamu. Say you have great analytical mind. They never put a woman like you on television addressing issues. I like your logic. Thank you so much. You don't mind watching your 16-year-old, 17-year-old son walk the street because you put him out there. He didn't pay your rent, or he didn't pay you money. He didn't pay you for being his mama because you want payment for being his mama. So you don't mind him walking the street out here getting into whatever because you put him out. You don't care what happened to him after you lock that door and change the locks and take the key. And then when something do happen to him, you'll be the first one on there with a bonnet on, crusty face, and crocodile tears that nobody can see, talking about he was a good boy and how he didn't deserve that. Did he deserve you putting him out? Did he deserve you trying to beat on him? Did he deserve that? See, I could go on and on and on about how being woke as a black woman has not helped not even black women, because I hate to mention him, but KS has had a show running now every day. Same show, different women calling in, hoping for a black man. Thank you, Mark Francois. So YouTube saved us from listening to women like Oprah. Because what happened was feminism made women not only bereft of femininity, they made you spiritually bankrupt as well. You don't got no morals. You are amoral now. You don't know up from down, right from wrong. You have no idea what to do if Zaddy don't tell you what to do next. Because you like the value system that puts wealth first, that puts leisure first, that puts somebody's profession first, whether it's yours or somebody that you're benefiting from, that puts education first, that puts mobility first, and be damned with the first five. As long as you get a bag, you think you can be spiritually bankrupt, and ain't nobody supposed to say nothing about it. But it is a brand new day today. We gonna have some values today, and any woman that's bucking the trend, you're not included. You can kick rocks with open toe sandals on. Because we are no longer tolerating spiritually bankrupt women to lead the charge for us. We not going with the little stupid shaming language. Are you a mammy? Are you a pick me? We ain't going for that. That doesn't mean anything. That means something to you. That don't mean nothing to the women who are going to be leading this charge in support of the men while we pull this out of the mud. The younger generation are waking up to this. They're getting hip to your game, hyenas. They starting to realize, you know what? This ain't so bad. Getting these 4 P's from men, that ain't so bad. I kind of want a guy to give provisions to me. I kind of want a guy to problem solve for me. I kind of want a guy to protect me. I kind of want a family to settle down and procreate and have children. You know, I kind of want that. And you know, I'm starting not to see why it's wrong that I want that as a woman. If women are empowered to do what we want and get what we want, why am I not empowered to get that? If that's what I want. So we not letting hyenas lead the charge. You had long enough through Oprah, through all of these media outlets. You had long enough to ruin the minds of black boys and black girls. You had your time. You didn't lead us nowhere just down in the dumps. That's where you led us to a landfill. That's where you led us. We done with that. We done. So the women who are not spiritually bankrupt, the women who do care about their mental and emotional and physical health, the women that do care about their families and how they raising them and where they came from and not making the same mistakes again. Women who do care about their appearance value and they don't want to show up outside with bonnets and house shoes on and have the world think of them as just these unkempt, just the dregs of society. Women who do care about their dwelling and making their place where they stay a home and not just somewhere where anything happens. These are the women now that are going to be in support of the men, because we don't think that our men are inherently predatory or inherently stupid. We don't think that. We know the capability of black men because it is black men that built the very country that you got your woke feet sitting on. Black men did that. Because if Zaddy could do it, he wouldn't have enslaved nobody. He would have done it. But he didn't have the know-how, he didn't have the ingenuity, he didn't have the intelligence, and he didn't have the physical stamina to bring his own stupid vision into fruition. He had to get a black man to come do it. Thank you, Mr. Research, that real female accountability being preached. We understand black men. We love them. We support them. And we're not going to let any amount of shaming language or goofiness stop us from digging this thing out of the mud that you put it in being woke. And the simps and the maggles that allowed it. The women here are going to have a value system that values themselves, that values their children, and that values their men. We're going to understand the ways in which Biocult Iran was used against us and how we can turn that around in our own homes, in our own lives, so that we don't have to be puppeteered by somebody else's value system that's got us back here hustling backwards, looking stupid in these streets. We're going to show you what it means to be a lioness. It's not just a cute little term. Lionesses do work to keep the pride together. And they don't abandon the pride for their own gain, because they know it ain't no gain without the pride. Today's show was brought to you by A-Game, a male herbal solution that helps address men's health by addressing their blood flow, which increases their vitality, their energy, their strength, and their libido. Father's Day is coming up, so I don't know what anybody is waiting for. If you want to be part of the A-Game family, it's super simple. All that anybody has to do is go into the description box and click the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com, and you get a 10% discount using the code Kendra10 at checkout. So that's KENDRA, the number 10 at checkout. Give your men the gift of good health, and men, give yourself this gift as well. All right. I want to thank everybody for coming through. I want to thank everyone for contributions, for the super chats. I greatly appreciate them. I appreciate the Cash App. Thank you, Aka. Thank you, MLR. I appreciate the Cash Apps. I appreciate your presence. That's what I most appreciate, your presence. So thank everyone. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, Crimsonites. Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.